2021 is going to be the best season for Don't Fear Grit ever. It's going to be rock solid.
This is Don't Fear Grit with Rob Taormina. Marketing strategies and advertising technologies to help you build a better business.
Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Holidays to all of you guys. This is our final episode of this season, 2020. This has been a crazy year, but this has been a great year for Don't Fear Grit. And first, I want to say thank you so much for everyone who has listened to every single episode or watched every single episode. It's been an incredible journey this year. I've really enjoyed, teaching you guys, learning even from you guys, but then sitting down with all the incredible experts that we've had as guests on the show. It's been amazing. Some really cool stats that I just wanted to share with you guys is Don't Fear Grit actually for this past season was listened to in 28 countries. That's a really cool accomplishment. And so all of you guys, we've got a global audience. So wherever it is that you are, wherever you guys are around the world, first, I just want to say thank you. It really means so much to me that you would set aside time to spend time with this show. It's something that is near and dear to my heart. I care very much about it. We put a lot of time and effort into it. I love being able to spend time with guests, but I also love being able to provide value to everyone. And hopefully we are helping you grow in your journey, whether it be as an entrepreneur, as a brand ambassador, as an influencer. You guys are amazing. And anyway, again, I can't thank you enough for being a sort of loyal gritter. Maybe we're going to call that. I'm going to break, what is it, the fourth wall? Craig, is that what it's called?
I suppose so.
All right. So we're going to be breaking the fourth wall right now, and we're going to bring in the man behind the scenes, my producer for the show. His name is, I call him C-Reg. What's up, C-Reg?
What's going on? And I remain behind the scenes. You hear me as a voice right now.
The man behind the curtain. No camera on Craig today. But yes, he's a big part of this. So I also want to extend a massive thank you to all of the hard work that he puts in behind the scenes to make the show happen and to make it what it is and what you guys listen to. So Craig, you're the man.
That's cute. Thank you.
But yeah, so we've got a global audience, so I appreciate everyone tuning in and help us to continue to grow this community. A few things you can always do. Again, keep on listening to every show, making sure that you subscribe to the show, whether it be on like YouTube channel or on the various podcast places that you guys listen to your podcast on, but subscribe and then also review it and share it. That's so important. Let's grow this community together. I really believe the tide rises for all ships and we can all definitely grow together. But this episode is going to be special. Yes, it's the last one that we're going to be doing of this season of 2020, but as I always sort of like to do, we're going to do a top 10 list of the top 10 episodes of 2020 for Don't Fear Grit. So it's pretty cool. So these are the top 10 most listened to, most downloaded episodes of Don't Fear Grit of 2020. And we're going to just sort of break this down, starting with number 10, going all the way up to number 1. This is really cool because obviously it represents what you guys decided was the best quality content that we put out. So this is the top 10. I love every single episode that we put out. I think all of them are great, and I highly recommend listening to all the episodes because there's always nuggets of truth in there. But this represents what you guys really just like latched onto. And number 10 was actually the first episode of last season, and where I actually was talking a little bit about my own journey of where I got, how I got started, all the things that happened in between when I got started and now. And then also one of the books that really transformed my life as an entrepreneur. And it's the book, The World is Flat. If you haven't read the book, The World is Flat, I highly recommend you going out and getting it. If you're listening to a podcast, clearly maybe you also like audiobooks. But what I would recommend is for you to go ahead, search the book, find it on Amazon, find the audio version of the book and get it. And for me, it was an eye-opener. And I know maybe for a lot of you guys, you'll get something else out of it. But for me, it was an eye-opener. And it really helped me to be more confident as an entrepreneur that the world, in fact, is flat, that opportunities to be successful are out there and could be attainable by anyone if you're willing to work hard. And, I read this book and I latched on to some of these truths and I never looked back. And I'm so thankful for this book. And so that's number 10 on the list. That was again the first episode of this this season here, and which is pretty cool. And again, I just sort of go into my personal journey. I get a little personal. I share some the nitty gritty truth of where I started and the challenges that I had. But then also I talk a little bit about this book, and this book really did really sort of pushed me forward and got me where I am today. I reference it all the time. I think about this book all the time. I've actually reread that book many times. So it's a great book. The World is Flat. Number 9 on our top 10 most listened to episodes of 2020 was actually an episode with a gentleman by the name of Jason Godsmark. And he is in the automotive industry, and he honestly, after spending some time with him during the episode, I remember thinking wow, this guy is so smart. I've worked obviously with a lot of automotive, dealerships. My agency, Talk IQ Media, we work with a lot of car dealerships, and we've worked with some extraordinary people. But when I sat down with him, I was like, wow, this guy's one of the smartest people that I've ever met, and he really understands what he does. And something that stood out for me was his integrity, how much he genuinely cared about people. And it came as no surprise why he has experienced so much success with what he's doing. And in this episode, he laid it all out there, some personal stories, but also laid it out there of some of the secrets, some of his trade secrets that has allowed him and the dealership that he's worked for to have success. And I really appreciated his transparency. It was a great episode. Definitely want to have him back. So that's number 9. We're down to number 8, Craig. Whoa. that's the extent of Craig's excitement right now. But number 8 on the list was an episode where I talked about perception marketing. This was actually one of my favorite episodes. I really went into detail about what perception marketing is and why all entrepreneurs need to be a little bit less sensitive and more realistic as they're in their role and what they're doing. This is a great episode. If you haven't listened to it, I highly recommend going back. This was episode number 11, actually. What is perception marketing? All right, we're chugging. We're trucking along here. Next on the list, this is number 7? So we did 10, 9, 8. This is number 7 on the list. This was a time we sat down with I remember this was Krista. She owned a franchise. She's a new franchise owner. So it's in the food service space. And the name of it is Pita Pit. And we've actually have since eaten there or had their food several times. Do you remember?
Good food. Yes, very good.
In fact, I actually think after this recording, we might have to go there and get some food because now I'm actually hungry for it. I can't stop thinking about it. What do you think?
You're paying.
I'm paying. But yeah, we sat down with Krista, and I remember when we sat down with her though, it was very early on in her launch. She had just launched. I think it was like maybe 2 months. She was maybe 2 months into her launch, and she was an incredible person. What a story. I don't know, Craig, if you remember her story that she told about her husband and the injuries that he had. And that was really the reason why, she went searching for what can we do now?
Yeah.
It was really it was a heartfelt, emotional story. And it really, I felt like embodied grit. She literally embodies this word grit. And if you want a story that will inspire you, check out that episode, take a listen. And when you do, and if you're ever in the Long Island area, although Pita Pit is I think a national franchise, but if you're ever in the Long Island area, her place is over in Hop Hog. She does an amazing job. She's such a kind person. Her and her family, they're great people. She makes amazing food, which I think I'm going to have to go to right after this particular episode.
Yes.
Okay, moving right along. What number are we up to?
6.
Number 6. Are you sure? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6.
Yes.
All right, number
Not that
6.
bad at math.
Number 6 on our top 10 list. Here we go. Moving up. This is when we sat down with a real estate agent who happens to, her family owns I think a brokerage firm agency on the Gold Coast of Long Island. This is one of the most affluent most expensive places in the entire world, and this is where her family is nestled in the real estate game. So she has gotten access to some of the most extraordinary mansions, and I remember her sharing some stories, but she even shared some pictures and some experiences that she had. Some of these houses are ridiculous.
I know. Wish I could. Maybe she could give me
Sneak
the keys
in.
to one. Yeah.
Just to throw a crazy party there. But yeah, some of these houses are amazing. They're massive, beautiful. They can they have like bowling alleys, movie theaters. It's crazy what some of these houses have. But anyway, she gave us a sort of behind the scenes look of what it's like to be a real estate agent on Long Island. And then she was making some predictions that ended up coming true because we did a follow-up episode with her as well a little bit later on. But again, this was number 6 on our top 10 list for 2020. Was an episode with Stephanie Lupo. Her Lupo, I'm gonna reveal it. That's her maiden name. Her married name, I believe, is Musmacher, though.
Spilling all the tea.
Oh yeah. I'm spilling it out, people. I'm spilling it. But yeah, this was a really great episode with Stephanie here. All right, now we've broken into the top five. I'm adding my own sound effects now.
You don't even need me anymore.
I don't even need you anymore. So number 5 on our top 5 list for 2020. This was an episode with her name was Noha. I think it was Noha. That was her name. And I remember I was not able to pronounce it, but I think it's Noha. And Noha, if I'm mispronouncing it, please, I'm sorry. Call me up. I'm going to have you back again. That's all. I'll make it up to you. But she owns a therapy, an occupational therapy business called, Hand in Hand Occupational Therapy. And you know what? Here's a young girl, very smart, highly educated, and she's an entrepreneur. She's a business owner, and she's doing a great job. And she was doing a great job, and she had aspirations for opening up multiple locations. And, there's definitely a place in this world for people who are committed to becoming an expert in what they do, and they take pride in providing good service to their customers. And she represents that. And I loved her story, love what she's doing, and she's a highly specialized individual with her craft, and I know that she's changing people's lives. So she's doing a great job. This was a great episode. I am not surprised at all that this made the top 5. All right, moving now. This is the top 4. This is number 4 on the list. Number 4 on the list was, okay, all right, I absolutely remember this. I still talk to this person to this day, and we're going to have her back as well. This was Jennifer O'Brien. Now, I don't know if you remember her, Craig, but she's like, my goodness, she's like the Energizer Bunny. She owns she owns an insurance agency, right? But I remember her, like, she was involved with everything. She's on, like, multiple charitable boards around town. She's always involved with the community, helping them build the community. She's involved with the local chamber of commerce. She's a mom. She's a wife. Like, she's a staple to this particular community that she lives in and she works in. So many people, know and love her. And I remember telling her, I'm like, you're like the mayor. Or like, there's no mayor in this town. But I'm like, if there was, the title would belong to her. She's an incredibly hardworking individual. So if you want to learn what hard work can do for your business and your personal life, take a listen to this episode. And honestly, you might feel exhausted at the end because of what she's able to accomplish in the limited span of 24 hours. But she really proves to us that it is, in fact, possible. I appreciate her. I appreciate everything that she does in the community and all of her charitable work. She's an incredible individual. All right, moving right along. Now we are in the top 3. This is a big deal. Number 3, let me check this out right now. Number 3 on our top 10 list for 2020. This is where I sat down with a medical spa owner. And let's see here. I think I have it pulled up. I'm going to pull up all the details here. Yes. So Sanla, I remember that she has a medical spa. Her family has sort of been in this space for a little bit. And it's called Stylish Beauty Salon. And again, another person, an entrepreneur who understands grit. Right?
Agreed.
Agree. By the way, for those of you, I know there's no camera on Craig, but
Don't
like
wanna
what
scare
he's
our
doing
audience.
is he's like turning his volume completely off, and he's like backing off and monitoring the screen, and I'm seeing that, and I'm like trying to call him out on it. I'm like, I'm gonna catch him off guard, right, Craig?
I had to turn it off. I don't want you to hear me booing you in the background.
Anyway, so top 3. This is Sanla. She owns a medical spa, and again, this is a wonderful entrepreneur. This is a woman entrepreneur, and she's doing a great job. I really admire everything that she's done, and she's doing some great work. And you know, her line of work, her industry, is very popular right now, so she's perfectly positioned. All right, now we're into number 2. Number 2 in the top 10. Episodes, most listened to episodes of 2020 for Don't Fear Grit. Number 2 is, drum roll,
Bum, bum, bum.
this was with Michelle Marcianti. She owned that dance studio. Do you remember her?
Yes. And she just won a new car.
No, this is not Oprah.
Sorry.
But now, I've interviewed lots of people in my career. Right? You've been with me for most of them.
Yes.
Right? And I am saying this without exaggeration. I'm not someone who really exaggerates, so I'm going to say this honestly. I have only maybe met a handful of people that have as much energy as she had in this episode.
Right.
And, you know, this is someone that, again, is in the local community. She's young. She's an entrepreneur. She owns a business. She's hustling. And man, she walked in here with a bundle of energy, and most people, like a lot of people say that about me. Like I talk fast, right? I know, I get it. I talk fast. I talk a lot
on a daily basis. So
I get it, right? But so few people are able to like keep up with me,
Right.
But very few people can like far like outpace me,
Right.
and I couldn't even keep up with her. Like it was incredible. But she's so incredibly smart. I remember, wasn't she like a mathematician or something like that?
Something like that. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm making up stuff, but like I remember I think she was like a mathematician or something like that. But she has such a great story. She has such a wonderful family. Like her family is incredible. I don't even know them, but like we got to know them because she was so like transparent about some stuff. And so absolutely love what she's doing. And I know a lot of people in the community absolutely love what she's doing as well, and really look to her for her dance school, because her dance school is not your typical dance school where it's servicing a demographic of kids, but instead she's servicing a demographic of adults. And especially in light of, you know, what we all experienced during 2020, I think what she was providing as a service was also providing a positive distraction towards what we were experiencing. So I think she's doing a great job. And again, she represents another person. Like, we got to have her back. I want to get the follow-up story about, you know, what it was like to go through 2020, you know? But I am not surprised at all that she is definitely within our top 5 and making the top 2. That's a big deal. She's number 2 on our list of the top 10 most listened to episodes of Don't Fear Grit. I mean, pretty cool.
Impressive.
Very, very impressive. But now we are down.
Number 1.
Number 1.
I'm sure there's something I'm involved in, right?
No, actually.
Oh, whoops. I'll see you later.
Awkward. But yes, number 1, another drum roll. You probably should have had the drum roll sound effects on there.
Oh,
but,
whoops.
Ready? I'll do it right now. Drum roll sound effects. There you go.
Nice.
You've added it in. I appreciate that.
Didn't know
But anyway, number 1 most listened to episode of Don't Fear Grit for 2020. This honestly comes as no surprise. I knew that this was actually going to be number 1. This actually. It wasn't even close between first and second, even though, you know, Michelle's episode was amazing. But the reason I think that this was number 1, without giving too much away, is because of what happened in 2020. You know, finances were a big issue. We've got, you know, the tax season got just flipped on its side. You know, tax day of April 15th got pushed out,
Right.
and then, you know, all of these like new loans, these forgivable loans, people were having so many questions. Guess who was now the person being sought after to answer all these questions that everyone had? Accountants.
Right.
And that's why it comes as no surprise. And you know, when this dropped, it was literally right before the whole pandemic hit. So the timing of this also played into it. But this was an episode where we sat down with Marissa Thompson. and she owns a bookkeeping company, an accounting company. And her episode, again, like all the other ones that I've mentioned, she didn't hold anything back.
Right.
She was transparent about a lot of really great tips and tricks, and it comes as no surprise. I know this is it sounds like a broken record, why people were seeking this out and finding this episode and listening to it and sharing it as much as they did, because it was helpful. People were looking for available resources that can help them navigate these uncharted waters of how on earth do I do my taxes in 2020 with all the changes. And so that's why this one claimed the #1 spot. And there you have it, guys. That's the top 10 list, the most listened to episodes of Don't Fear Grit for the season of 2020. And it was great. I know it was challenging, right?
Yeah.
But Craig, we got to still have a lot of fun with Don't Fear Grit and recording some really, really cool episodes. Do you have an episode, and I told you beforehand that I wasn't going to do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. Do you have one episode of Don't Fear Grit that really just stands out? It could be a recent one, whatever, but do you have one that stands out? I have a feeling I know what it is, but I'm just curious. Craig.
You have well, now I want to know what you think my favorite is.
No. I've been talking for a while now. I want you to go off.
This is what I'll say,
first.
Rob.
Yeah.
Since I don't want to pick favorites here, here's what I have to say. We kid around, but I'm going to get cute for a minute. 2020 was a stinker, but the bright spot in my life has been coming in here, hanging out with you and our wonderful guests. And I just can't pick a favorite because I love them all the same.
See, you're trying to get the free cookies from people.
That's correct.
Because what we do have is, most of our guests, when they come in here, they bring gifts. And I know we have quite a few of them that bring in freshly baked chocolate chip cookies. And I have a feeling you're talking to these individuals.
Listen, I might not be, but I love them all. Love them all.
So there you have it. Craig loves chocolate chip cookies. So if you ever want to get on the show, a way of getting approved to be a guest is saying, hey, listen, I'll bring freshly baked chocolate chip cookies.
I also like peanut butter cookies.
And he loves peanut butter cookies as well. Yes. All right. So, but no, what I was going to say is your favorite episodes was probably something around either collecting. When I remember that episode where I opened up that old pack from the 80s.
Yes.
That was very
a good
cool.
episode, yes.
I opened up it was a wax pack of football trading cards from the 80s that I've been saving.
Though. Making it about you. My favorite episode was one that you were.
No,
you
because
solo.
I talked to you. Again, that was another episode where I broke the fourth wall.
No, I know, I'm kidding.
But then the other one where we talked with Nick,
Yes.
who is the a
My
comic
best friend
book.
Nick.
Yeah, he wrote his own comic book,
Yep.
and he started a comic book through the pandemic, and I think that was really cool. So I figured that would be another one that you would probably would have
Yes,
loved.
but again, I pick no favorites. Bring cookies.
That's your favorite.
Yes.
Whoever brings the cookies is his favorite.
Yep.
So very, very cool. Anyway, guys, what was your favorite? And we'd love to hear, obviously, we love talking with you guys. We love hearing from our audience and the fans of Don't Fear Grit. You can find us on social media, find us on Instagram, find us on Facebook, and put out some comments. Put out a DM or a PM and message us. We read them all, and we try to reply to as many as we possibly can. We love to hear from you. And let us know, what was your favorite from 2020, and what would you like to hear in 2021? Who would you like us to interview? We've got access to everyone. So we're going to pull no stops. We've got some really big plans for 2021 for Don't Fear Grit. And I know, like, you hear people say it all the time, like in The Bachelor, this was the most shocking episode ever.
Epic event.
The most epic
Bachelor
event,
history.
right?
Yeah.
Right? But I truly mean it. The plan that we have, we're going to execute on this plan. 2021 is going to be the best season for Don't Fear Grit ever. It's going to be rock solid. But anyway, guys, the way I started is the way I'm going to end it. Happy Kwanzaa. Happy Hanukkah. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays from everyone here at Don't Fear Grit, myself, Craig, and everyone else that's part of this incredible team here. I'm thankful for them. I'm really thankful for you guys. Thank you for making 2020 great, even though 2020 was a challenge. You guys put a bright spot on it, and we've had a blast this year. But we're looking forward to 2021, as I'm sure many of you are. Guys, remember, don't fear the process, and don't fear grit. We'll see you next year.